Welcome back to episode 13. We're going to talk about inheritance today. Inheritance is a topic within object-oriented programming. So what this is the ability to have a class use attributes and methods from another class. So let's look at this example program I've written here. So in our main, you can see we're defining objects and calling on stuff. So anyway, let's look at the actual important stuff. So we have a header file here and a implementation file for our classes. And we have three classes. So we have a class called vehicle, a class called car, and a class called truck. And so using this, we can say that our base class, what is known as a base class, is vehicle, because cars are a type of vehicle and trucks are a type of vehicle. So that's called a base class, or you can call it a parent class. And then we have what are known as derived classes or children classes. So anyway, car would be an example of a derived class, and truck is an example of a derived class. So you can tell that this is a derived class because I have a colon and then I specify what the parent class is. So the parent class of car is vehicle. And we have to specify what type of inheritance we want to use. So we're going to use public inheritance, and we'll talk about that in a second. So let's go ahead and look at this. What is common with all vehicles? Well, every vehicle has a color associated to it. And we're going to put the color attribute in what is known as the protected section of a class. Now we've talked about private and public, how private can only be accessed within the class, how public can be accessed anywhere. Now protected can be accessed outside of the class, but only inside of the derived classes, and it can also be accessed within its own class. So our derived class car can access the attribute of color, and so can truck, and that's why they're derived classes of vehicle. Anyways, that's what's known as protected. Now, since it's protected though, we won't be able to call on the color attribute directly within our main because it's only accessible within the class and the derived classes. So we have to create a setter and a getter, and I've done that here, and here's the implementation of those. And now let's look at the car class. So the car has two Boolean values. One is known as is sedan and the other is coupe. So sedan is a 4-door car and a coupe is a 2-door car. And then in the truck we have is quad cab and is crew cab. A quad cab is a 4-door truck and a crew cab is a 2-door truck. So there's some differentiation between these two classes in terms of terminology. Anyways, now we can go ahead and create some different objects. So I have a truck object called my truck and a car object called my car. So now we can go ahead and set the color of both of these because they're both derived classes of the vehicle class. So they both have a color attribute. So I do that. Blue is the color of the car and red is the color of the truck. And then we're setting the Boolean values of the Boolean variables within the different classes. And then we're just printing out the color. So if I go ahead and go to the command prompt, and I've already compiled this code, and we'll just go ahead and run this executable here. And you can see it prints out the colors of each different object. Now the important thing to understand here is that these are objects created from different classes, but they have the same attribute. They have the same attribute color, even though they're different classes. One quick thing before we go is this keyword here in front of the parent class specifier. So we say that the class car has a parent vehicle, but why do we need to say this public keyword? Well, this just describes the type of inheritance we're going to be doing. Public says that anything from our parent class that is protected will remain protected in the child class. Anything that's public will remain public. If we change this to, let's say, protected, then everything that is protected in public becomes protected. So even the public stuff up here becomes protected within the derived class. And then if the same thing for private, everything just becomes private from the parent class. So that's the whole idea of inheritance, and we'll continue with object-oriented programming.